But right now, it's time, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a segment that we call StoryTime. This began several years ago when I found a book in a gas station where we were having our car serviced. And it was some book about a boy who just wanted to have enough money to buy a cow. It was Hansel and his cow, or something like that. And do you remember the name of the Hansel book?
It was Hansel gets a cow or something.
Yeah, a cow for Hansel.
A cow for Hansel.
Yeah, so that was a fun story that we got to read. Thank you. I read it chapter by chapter for several weeks on the show. And it was fun, and I made fun of it a little bit, and we also shared the story. So that got me in the mood and in the mode of occasionally reading stories by other people on this program. Usually we don't go through a whole long book like that. That was a special occasion. We do shorter books, most of them children's books these days, because children's books these days are not what they were when I was growing up.
You're going to read the farm one. Potato's been reading it.
Oh, they love that.
Is that the next one?
That may be, but that's so visual. This one's visual too. But I think we can read this. This is.
Show them Professor Chicken.
Well, yeah. Well, here's this is Professor Chicken in the book, A History of Underwear, featuring Professor Chicken, written by Hannah Holt, illustrated by Corwin Briggs. We will have our own chicken here. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Oh, watch, honey, watch. They're freaking out.
Oh, yes.
Some kind of call.
Oh, God Almighty!
Stop.
Oh, the horror! Let's see if we can catch it in his mouth. Oh, almost. All right. Let's try it.
Let's try with him.
Ready? Oh, wait, hold it. Oh, almost. We got it. Oh!
One more.
Anywho, here's one more. Oh!
Last one.
Hold on, okay.
Last one.
Whoa, perfect!
Oh, good job.
All right, here we go. Professor, we'll have Elvis Chicken, but I don't know.
I don't know why he's wearing.
What kind of show is this? I'll tell you one thing. He was marked down to $7. I think we got him cheaper than that at Marshall's.
Oh, yeah, we got him. I think he's a dog toy, but please stop doing that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here's a history of underwear. We're going to read a bit of this book. Maybe not all of it, because again, it's more of a visual book. And I guess they can get away with talking about underwear and showing underwear because it's basically all these chickens dressed in underwear for the book. It's quite a mural there. I don't know if it was Diego Rivera who did this on the bank building, but it's pretty special. For my agent, Jennifer March Soloway, thanks for championing, after 2.5 hours, I can't talk at all, this chicken book. And for my dad, who got me to draw my first chicken, that of course, from the illustrator Corwin Briggs. Published by Roaring Brook Press in 2022, printed in China, also, in Dongguan City, Guangdong Province, but this one is from, of course, New York, 120 Broadway. The illustrations for this book, speaking of AI, speaking of everything else, the illustrations were created with Photoshop. Book was edited by Emily Feinberg, designed by Mike Burrows. The production was supervised by Celeste Cass. The text was set in AAUX office, and the display type is Billy. You figure if the display type is Billy, they should use goats, but that's
you have the
just...
goat up there.
Yeah.
We have the goat.
All right, don't be gruff.
No, you have the goat.
Billy Goat Gruff. Where is he? Oh, here he is. Anywho, here we have a chicken, a history of underwear. And what we know is little cute things that they tuck into books like this. Homework, paragraphs, and worms. Yes, snails, worms, slugs, no spiders or crabs. And thus we see that snails are delicious, nutritious, and make good hats. Little snail hats there is very cute.
Oh, that's adorable.
Very, very cute right there.
Why can't we have a snail hat?
You know, I don't know. Well, you know why? Because I don't want to pay a full price. I want to buy them when they're on snail. Thank you. Now for today's lesson, a history of underwear. Oh, my heart is pounding as we speak. Underwear. Oh my God, this is so cute. Underwear can be small Isn't that adorable? No?
That's so wrong.
Or big.
Oh, that's cute.
Or huge. See, so he's wearing kind of a moo-moo there.
Oh, no, yeah.
With a moo-moo here and a moo-moo there.
Professor Chicken in.
It shapes our lives and supports us. Let's take a brief look at its history. Here we go. Over 5,000 years ago, in the Swiss Alps, a hiker named Ötzi became trapped inside a glacier. Look at this, is not good. That is very scary right there. He's trapped in a glacier.
A glacier looks like a wall of glass, isn't it?
Well, a glacier, it's glass. There's a glass here. Poor Ötzi died, but the ice saved his underwear. A leather loincloth tied with a belt.
No.
That's the underwear I tend to wear when I go to the theater, actually.
I know.
Like Ötzi's underwear, many early bottom coverings came in pieces. Guess what? That's why we still call them a pair. Because
A pair of underwear.
Yeah.
Why do you say that? Because underwear is a piece.
it's one thing. Because they used to come in
already learned
pieces.
something.
Yeah. See, this is kind of cute. In fact, easy step-and-go underwear didn't exist back then. Early hunters and gatherers had... What? Early hunters and gatherers had to catch their underwear. And I gotta say, these are some of the cutest cartoons I have ever seen.
They're catching a bunny. Well, that looks like a bunny.
That's an underhair. Yeah. Oh, once collected, these animals' hides had to be dried, pounded, and smoked. It took several weeks to produce one sweaty pair of underwear. And look, there's a little chicken going, phew, that stinks. Which is what you constantly tell me about my underwear.
Yes,
So, yeah.
that's a whole other reason.
Maybe that's why the Egyptians in 1400 BCE preferred linen. Light and breezy. Linen underwear was worn by rich and poor alike in ancient Egypt. Of course, the super rich, like King Tut, wore linen with only the tightest weave and the smoothest feel. So you like these little tuggles having some room in there. Underwear fit for a king. King Tut liked his loincloth so much that when he died, he was buried with more than 100 pair. King Tut, buried with his undies. Wowza, that's a lot. Oh, God.
What?
You think my jokes are bad?
Yeah.
Thank you, dear. Here's Professor Chicken. I'm not making this up. Wowza, that's a lot of fruit of the tomb. You're still watching this program. You're still watching
You found
this
your
show.
favorite author.
I love the pictures too, though.
They're really cute. Yeah.
Underwear could also be seen as a pile of wealth. How so? In ancient Egypt, cloth was valuable. So consider this.
Okay.
Linen starts as flax seeds. The seeds need to grow. After it's harvested, it needs to be beaten and woven into a cloth. So making a pair of linen underwear could take 4 or 5 months from start to finish. The professor says, I need a nap just thinking about all that work. Please note there's also a little sign at the factory that says keep wings clean. Oh, the cuteness of this book, I've got to tell you. So, a little bit more. Wait, skip the page.
Read more. It's a nice book.
Wearing it was no simple matter either. In the ages before elastic, linen loincloths had to be carefully tied and tucked. One lazy knot, and it could roll loose in the middle of the day. Oh dear, how embarrassing. See? It's actually fascinating stuff.
Yeah, we're learning.
So if underwear was so expensive, what did early parents do for their babies? Around 1000 CE, so 1000, some cultures used plants for diapers. Oh. The Chukchi in northeastern Siberia padded baby bottoms with reindeer moss under sealskin pants.
Oh, that's so cute.
I think they were just too cheap to shop at Target, quite honestly.
That's cute. I think that's not that one. That's the other one. That's that one. Yeah. That's adorable.
Plants were also the original disposable diaper. The Navajo in southwestern North America used shredded desert cliff rose for babies on cradle boards. Plants as pants The original, quote, call of nature, says Professor Chicken. Watch your ears. Yeah. Throughout history, underwear differed not only by region, but also by age, class, and gender, along with everything else. English knights in the 13th and 14th centuries wore full-bodied underwear to protect and pad against the armor.
Because it must hurt.
Yeah, they're rubbing against metal. Yeah.
God, you must get bruising, right?
Oh, and I wonder how they're going to tell children about this. English kings around this time preferred clothing that showed off power and wealth. Henry VIII liked wearing fancy underwear on the outside called a codpiece. Cod here meaning bag, not the fish. That's all they're saying about the codpiece, except you can kind of see, it's not very pronounced. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't want these chickens showing their cocks, right? So, meanwhile, Henry's wives wore underwear on their heads.
What?
That's right. In the 16th century, fine ladies wore head underwear called a coif, a linen or silk coif covered by a hat or hood while visiting friends or touring town. I don't know, maybe it was hot and linen would wick away the sweat from their foreheads. As one woman, well, here's a chicken with one of those old snail shell things who says,
she's trading up, yeah.
You can crown me with underwear any day. Yeah. Now, during the European Renaissance, English ladies also wore boring old chemises. However, as years went by, ladies' underwear became bigger and bigger. So let's see the evolution of the simple chemise. Here it is.
Oh, it's cute.
Moving to the stays lengthened. Chemises have more embellishments and farthingales. They fell out of style in the 1600s. Oh, I've been reading it wrong. It's supposed to go this way. Oops. So Spanish farthingale is added. A pair of bodies, later called stays or corsets. I got it. This is in the 1600s. Became more common. Then you lose the farthingales. And then farthingales make a comeback in the 1700s. I don't know if you knew that. This time with an oval shape.
When they came back,
Yeah. And then in the late 1700s, side hoops extended skirts even further until at a certain point stays are renamed corsets from the French word for body. Tight lacing becomes the trend. Hopefully it gets better than that. And then here we come in the 1800s to the United States. Of course, every culture had those. How did it go? Wait, we must have skipped some. Oh, we did. Okay. In Asia, Chinese undergarments experienced similar shifts over time. In the 206, I would wear this. In 206 BCE, there's a little Chinese red garment.
It's like an apron.
And then they turned it more into apronish. The yang dong is similar to cover the dong there, is similar to the jinyi, but the back is covered. And then the Tang Dynasty, a strapless hezi.
That sounds like a drink.
If you don't like it, you throw a hezi fit.
I'd like a strapless hezi, please. Sounds like a drink.
Necklines and bare arms.
Yeah.
In the Song Dynasty of the turn of the first century, Moxiang makes higher necklines fashion again. The Yuan Dynasty starts to look like almost the corsets of the English. Hehuan Jin has a strapless top, but with buttons in front and ties in the back. Meanwhile, when were they binding women's feet? Zhu Yao covers less belly, tight around the waist, but then around the 1600s, you have much cozier than a corset, a neck strap, a back strap, and an upside-down triangle bottom. Starting to be more about underwear than I really want to know.
Deep, yeah.
Now here we get to, of course, every culture has those who march to their own cluck. Some, like American Civil War surgeon Mary Walker.
Wait.
Mary Walker? Really?
Really?
Traded petticoats for pants so she could more easily serve in active battle.
Yeah, because you got a petticoat's going to drag you around.
Despite Mary's earning the Presidential Medal of Honor, others could not look past her clothes. Here she is. So one of the first cross-dressing...
Which is her wear?
This is her. There she is.
She's wearing a suit.
She liked, I don't know.
Just wear like pants and your shirt. You don't gotta wear a suit. Oh, look, the Chicken Times reported it. Wow.
He's not doing well. Yeah.
No, he's not good.
You tell him, Mary. Mary was arrested several times for impersonating a man. Probably Trump was alive then too. But she said, I don't wear men's clothes. I wear my own clothes.
Good girl.
Mary was not the only one breaking free of corsets. An American underwear revolution was underway. And then we started getting seen. I'm just going to show the timeline. I'm not going to read most of these, but you can see what's happening here from the 1870s. Rather familiar there. Men's union suits got shorter. Women were starting to wear stepping chemises.
This is really smart. I like it.
This is
Chicken's smart.
I know these are like New Yorker covers, which is kind of great. Yeah.
Underpants. That's in the magazine.
Underpants monthly. Until at some point, 1970s, bright colors and bold patterns are popular. Thong underwear invented in the 1970s for I guess men and women.
And chickens.
Waists moved higher in the 80s. Brand name waistbands in the 1990s. Do you think this makes my hips look hipper?
That's a good looking chicken.
Well, she's wearing Calvin Cluck.
Of course,
yeah.
you know.
And then in the 2000s,
what else would a chicken wear?
you have Spanx and elastic girdles for fancy events. Today's underwear is cheaper and comes in more styles than ever before. With modern machines making them is a snap. Some underwear is still designed for special jobs. Other types of underwear are made for specific ages. See, there's an astronaut in undies.
Let me see.
Luckily, you get.
Chickens were in space.
I think they probably did send chickens into space, like when they were sending monkeys up there. Cultural tastes still matter. Oh, you'll love this. Look. Age appropriate.
Oh, what's he wearing?
It's a chicken in a walker wearing, I guess,
underwear.
Soakable underpants with a little, like, junior.
Oh, that's nice. Maybe grand chick.
Yeah.
It's a grand chick. I like that. That's cute.
Or as we like to call them, older fowls. Yeah. Luckily, you get.
Press the button for me. What does the man think of it?
Surely it's my turn.
Do you like my new Here's going back to the very beginning, sort of. Do you like my new underwear? Because I think I snailed it. That's just wrong.
Why is she wearing a snail?
I don't know.
I thought she got rid of the snail hats.
See you next time for. Well, he's not wearing a hat. Now he's wearing a snail codpiece. Yeah. I make my own slime down there. I don't know about you. So here's some Professor Chicken extra credit. Although underwear is the butt of many jokes, it holds serious clues about life in the past. Think like a detective and unravel hints about how people lived then and now.
Okay.
So ancient underwear can tell you about places and spaces where people lived. Like what animals did they have? Were the animals wild or domestic? Take Ötzi's loincloth, which was made of sheepskin. What clues does that give you about Ötzi's life? Ötzi was a perv who liked to do things to sheep, I think. Look at this sheep. This sheep looks exactly like back in the early days when I was recording this show. There was an internet screensaver of sheep that would just stand there and leap. Do you remember them?
Yes.
I haven't seen that in like 25 years.
Yeah, you have.
And it ruined a couple of my shows because they were leaping in the background and I couldn't stop them. Underwear also gives clues about plant life. For example, skilled workers in Uganda used bark from the mutaba tree to make clothing. In Tonga, they used the paper of the mulberry tree. Both cultures made bark cloth, but each used raw materials from natural environments. Underwear can show how connected a culture is with the rest of the world. As time marched forward, many countries started importing cotton from India. So they should have put this earlier in the book. Silk from China, rubber from Brazil. What materials are I should wear rubber underwear. That would be appropriate for me in my rubber room. Where were they made? What does that say about the society you live in? And then more stuff about technology here. This is getting a little too complicated to share with you all, but you can see there's a lot going on in terms of undies. Like other cultures, like the Japanese Edo period, had a class system. Most men wore a cloth belt called a fundoshi. But no matter what garments early people wore, they took good care of their clothing there. Holes were patched or darns, rips were mended, and yet, here it is 2025, and I can do literally nothing about my smears. Why? Why, God, why? For all the whys, wheres, whats, the constant thing about underwear is change. So now that you've learned about it, remember, the one thing not to forget is to change your underwear. That's what I've been forgetting. And so, and here we have again the evolution all the way from Ötzi, who died in the ice floe, to Professor Chicken.
Yeah, I love it.
And that, my friends, is the history of underwear, including a selected bibliography. You want to talk about academic writing? Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's the combination of the chickens and, it's not an annotated bibliography, though, but it's just a plain old bibliography here in A History of Underwear with Professor Chicken. Here on Dave's Gone By, we thank Hannah Holt for writing the book, Corwin Briggs for illustrating it, and we're proud to share that with you on Dave's Gone By on this particular segment we call Storytime.